Hello.
You are Locked On Clippers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Clippers Postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. Clippers cruising along, singing a song. Doo-dah, doo-dah, doo-dah day. A couple minutes to go. Both teams waved the white flag. About 6 minutes to go. Clippers up 124-104 at this point. I'm Pete Fox, host of the Clippers Postcast, covering sports in LA, dating back to 2007 for both ESPN LA and NBC Sports Radio. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Clippers Postcast brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase at Game Time. It's where you buy tickets for events. I'll tell you more about that later. Right now, we're going to get into this game, which was a sparkling display of everything. I feel like there's not really much negative to talk about. There's one thing we're going to get into here pretty quick that I saw early on that they cleaned up or maybe just compensated for with too much offense. We'll talk about Norm Powell's game and how much he's added to the team and how good it feels to be playing this way when you've got guys like Kawhi Leonard still not in the game. We'll also talk about the bench play because that has continued to improve, and it's just really exciting to see what's happening right now and how this team is rolling along. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, if you're not a fan of the NBA Cup, they've been eliminated from the elimination round, which is next week. So when you look at the schedule and you see that there's no games after Sunday, apparently there's going to be 2 games next week. So the Clippers will play tomorrow against Minnesota. That's at Intuit Dome. And then they're off until Sunday. So a nice, break for them. And they haven't had a break in a long time. Every other night they've been playing for quite a while. And I love how basketball players act like that's so stressful. Talk to a baseball player about playing every other night. Baseball player would be like, yeah, great. I'll take it. I know basketball is probably a little bit more physical, but or a lot more physical. Let's be honest. But if you're Freddie Freeman and you're playing every night at first base, it's strenuous. These games are not easy either. But Clippers definitely deserve this rest coming up as they have extended their home winning streak in Intuit Dome to 9 in a row. It got started really, really early for this team today. Everything was just cruising along. At the end of the first quarter, they were shooting 65% and 62% from beyond the arc. As for Portland, wasn't too bad for them either. 63% and 44% from beyond the arc. But the bottom line was Norm Powell just right out of the gate, firing on all cylinders. I missed Sunday night's game because I did the Chargers, and he came back and that one had a huge game on the heels of James Harden's huge game in a nice win over the Denver Nuggets, who are tough. Jokic is no joke. Many people think he is the best player in the league, and that's hard to argue because he is one of them for sure. And he had a good game. So for the Clippers to win that game, and it wasn't a blowout, but it wasn't like a 1-pointer at the buzzer. It was a comfortable, I think, 8 or 9 point win for them. So that was a big win. And to take that and turn it into a comfortable cruise today, where they absolutely blasted the Portland Trailblazers, leading by as many, I think, as 30. It was huge. They were leading by 12 in the first quarter. And then in the second quarter, when the bench players got in there, the Trailblazers took the lead of 2 points, and then the Clippers answered right back. So as much as I want to get into the bench here, and we'll do that in a little bit about how well I thought they played and how crucial they were to this win, how they contributed, there was a minute there. And this would be the one negative thing I would say, that there was a minute there in the second where the lane was just wide open. And that's when it started. That's kind of when the gates of the paint opened for Portland, there was just no D in the lane. Very, very, very soft. Just easy layups, dunks. Portland was just getting to the rim kind of like no big deal. Yeah, right here you go. May I introduce you to the rim? There you go. Put the ball in that little circle thing and you'll get 2 points. That's what it was like. It was like, come on, there was just no defense. And then they cleaned it up a little bit at the end of the second going into the break as the Clippers posted a 63-58 lead at the half. There was one play there about the 3:30 mark of the second where James Harden penetrated into the lane for an easy layup, which technically was a fast break. It looked more like a medium speed break to me. Harden wasn't looking all that nimble, but later in the game, he got it going again. I feel like Harden kind of slow plays it in the first half. Some nights, most nights, every now and then he'll get going early, but in the second half, he kind of dials it up a little bit. And that's what he did tonight. He had 11 at the break. Norm Powell with 20 in the first half, going 7 of 8 as the game now has gone final 127-105. Norm leads the way with 30 and James Harden finished with 23. Chris Dunn, 20 minutes, 3 of 6 for 7 points. But one of the things that continues to impress about Chris Dunn, you don't really care if he makes any points. It's like a good catcher in baseball. You don't care much if he gets base hits, right? As long as the pitchers like working with him and he's not allowing pass balls. As long as he's a good backstop, you're fine with the fact that his batting average is 204. That's what Chris Dunn does for this Clipper team. He plays defense. He is a disruptor, getting in the way of passes, knocking balls away, just bodying guys up. Really, really aggressive defensive player, and you just have to really appreciate the effort that he brings. They talked about it. They kind of got into it a little bit tonight, Brian and Jim Jackson, saying that his offense is not in any way, shape, or form tied to his defense, which you like to see. So if he's off, and it kind of felt like he was tonight, he did make it on the bucket list. But 3 of 6 is not terrible. That's 50%. I mean, for those of you who aren't as good at math as I am, he had a decent night shooting, but there was a stretch there where he was, struggling. You could see he couldn't find the bottom of the net. And then he hit one and hit a couple more and turned it into a decent night shooting. So there are times when he struggles mightily shooting, but the good news is it doesn't really matter. He still keeps playing defense. And that's a big part of what is going into this Clippers team's success of late. Another thing that is continuing to improve night after night after night is the play of Derek Jones Jr. Usually it's tied to Kevin Porter Jr.'s success. And when one of them is good, the other one is good. And when one of them is bad, the other one is bad. Well, Kevin Porter was injured tonight because of an ankle injury, did not play. So Derek Jones out on his own, if you will, had a fantastic night. 6 of 10, 1 3 for 15 points, but 3 big dunks and layups at the rim, thanks to fantastic passes from James Harden, one from Chris Dunn, and another from Norm Powell on an inbound pass. So he just is owning that space in the lane above the rim. It's just becoming more and more dominant. And the good news about all of that is his teammates are really going out of their way to find him to drive to the rim, whether it's an alley-oop or a driving layup or what, an inbound pass. It's something that they have clearly highlighted in practice that they're going to work on and they're going to force the issue on, and it's working out fantastically. So that was exciting to see, because usually it's been 1 or 2. And again, I've mentioned it time and time again that James Harden, and he does the same thing with Kevin Porter. He goes out of his way to find these two guys, and you just love seeing it because it's working so smoothly. Tonight, he was doing the same thing, but so was everybody else. 127-105, the final, as the Clippers get win number 13. They've won 9 in a row at home and just cruised against the Portland Trailblazers. The one sub 500 team that they had lost to this season. So they kind of got that out of their system. And correction, it is win number 14 for them. Again, 9 in a row at home after this dominant win over the Trailblazers, led by Norm Powell's 30. We'll take the break. When we come back, the bucket list, and we'll get into some of the details of this performance from Derrick Jones Jr. above the rim. It was just fun to see, dominant and exciting as well. I'm Pete Fox. It's the Locked On Clippers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. We appreciate you allowing us to be your source for your team every day. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Clippers postcast is brought to you by Prize Picks. You can now win up to 100 times your money with Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks, over 10 million members and billions of dollars awarded in winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players from 2 teams, and the money can start rolling in. One of the cool things I like about Prize Picks is they offer Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. I remember when I got started up, I was really impressed with how quick and easy and painless it was. They have a nice little sign-up bonus for you now, $50 instantly when you play your first $5. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. PrizePicks also has special discount days for you. Like sometimes they'll do Taco Tuesday where players are discounted and the projections can be lowered by up to 25%, which is nice to see, and it makes winning a whole lot easier. So download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get 50% or $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app, use the code LOCKEDONNBA, $50 instantly after you play your first $5. PrizePicks.com or use the app. PrizePicks, run your game. Today's episode of the Locked On Clippers postcast also brought to you by Game Time. I always go to Game Time when it's time to look for tickets, and not just for sporting events, concerts, comedy, a variety theater. There's a variety of different tickets that are available for you there on Game Time, and they have Game Time picks, curation of tickets to certain events that makes it easier to save money on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. And if you are brave enough to wait up until like an hour before the start of the event, which I love that. My wife's not a big fan. She wants to know well ahead of time where we're going and when we're leaving. And I'm like, well, I don't know if we're going to get tickets yet. We got to wait a little bit. But if you can wait up to an hour before, like if you're going with your buddy or something that's willing to roll with the punches, it could save you a lot of money. They also have views from the seat on the app. So you know what you'll be seeing from where you're going to be sitting. They have all in pricing, so you don't get charged extra fees at the end. You know what it's going to cost when you go to checkout. So download the Game Time app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time. All right, Clippers with their 9th consecutive win at Intuit Dome. Final score, a comfortable win over the Portland Trailblazers, 127-105. The Trailblazers led by former Clipper Chauncey Billups, who was there when I was covering the team on a nightly basis when they were at home, of course. I didn't go on the road with them. And I thought that dude was a fantastic guy. He is a team guy, great player, just all around good individual. Easy to talk to, was there for you, for the media after the game, win, lose, didn't matter. He was willing to talk, always in a good mood, even when he was potentially ticked off because they didn't play well or they lost or something like that. So always enjoyed dealing with Chauncey Billups. It's nice to see him, continuing to succeed to a certain extent. The Trailblazers are struggling a little bit, but they are in a rebuilding mode. And Chauncey made the comment to Brian Seaman, who mentioned it on the broadcast, that it's the first time really since he's been there, I believe it's his 3rd year now, that he feels like this team is there's a nice nucleus and they are growing. They're now 8-14, 3-9 on the road. So it's still trying to come together, but he feels like he's got a nice nucleus and can make something happen with this group of youngsters. Scoot Henderson, probably the leader of this team, did not play tonight. So that was another minus for the Trailblazers. Clippers at the end of the first half, again, 63-58, continue to shoot the ball well, 61% from the floor, 40% from beyond the arc, while Portland was 53-35. At the end of the night, they kept it up. They shot 55% from the floor and 51% from beyond the arc. Those numbers are tough to beat. 19 of 37 from three, 82% from the line, going 14 of 17. Here's tonight's bucket list with the top 5 or so baskets of the night. For number 5, Norm Powell had a 3 with a hand in his face. It was early in the game. It made it 12-5. It was at the 8:20 mark of the first. I believe it was his second 3 he got going right away. And then about a minute and a half later, at the 6:43 mark, he hit another 3, 19-7 at that point. He was filling it up and just in such rhythm. And when he is going, as I've said before, James Harden is crucial to the offense of this team. But there are times when Harden is just off. Tonight wasn't great from beyond the arc, 3 of 10, but 6 of 15 from the floor. That's a pretty decent night. And 8 buckets at the free throw line, or 8 points rather, going 8 of 9, because he's just so adept at drawing that foul. And it feels like younger players are a little bit more susceptible to falling for it. And that's what we saw tonight. So 23 points from James Harden is a above average, decent night. But you can't live on that alone. You need more. So that's where Norm Powell comes in. And you could see, thought the Clippers did well when Powell was out for those 5 or 6 games. They played hard, and they got other guys involved. Amir Coffey, Jordon Miller, Mo Bamba, Nicholas Batum. All of those guys stepped up and filled in, and that was a good feeling. But it's an even better feeling when those guys continue to play like that off the bench, and Norm Powell is filling it up for 30, going 11 of 15, 5 of 7 from beyond the arc. Surprisingly, only that one bucket or those 2 buckets on the bucket list tonight. For number 4, Derek Jones Jr. hit his only 3 of the night at the 5:37 mark of the second. That gave the Clippers a 3-point lead, 49-46. And then somewhere a little bit after that was the fantastic inbound pass from Norm, who hit Derek Jones Jr. elevating above the rim. It was an overhead sort of soccer inbound pass from Norm Powell. Just perfect timing. I mean, that is so hard to do, especially on an inbound pass. It's fantastic. For number 3, another awesome one to Derek Jones Jr. This was an alley-oop. It came from Chris Dunn at the 2:30 mark of the second quarter there, which gave the Clippers a 57-52 lead. For number 2, Chris Dunn finally hit a 3. He had missed 2 or 3 in a row leading up to that, but he hit his only 3 of the night at the 8:57 mark of the third. That made it 68-62. And shortly thereafter that, the Clippers just started to pull away. Mo Bamba checked in, hit a 3 right away at the 4:50 mark of the third. That made it 80-70, and the Clippers never looked back again. The game was never even close after that. They just put their foot down and played tight, in spite of, being a little bit questionable about the second unit. Again, first quarter or first half, second quarter, the second unit was a little bit lazy. The lane was wide open. They were playing okay on offense, but their defense just wasn't there. And then the discussion after the break with Christina Pink was that she heard focus was needing to be on the second unit playing better, just being more intense, and they absolutely were. They had a very nice effort with regard to turnovers. Harden, obviously not a member of the second unit, but continued to bang down the mid-range jumpers, as his long ball from 3 wasn't terribly locked in. Although he hit a clutch one, it was a beautiful dribble step back. He was right around, free throw line extended. And somehow, Harden is a fantastic ball carrier most of the time, as long as he's not falling down. So he did a, crossover dribble and lost the defender and took 2 steps back behind the line and just absolutely drained a 3. That made it 83-70. And then he hit a buzzer beater at the end of the third to make it 91-78. So those were some big buckets for him. Again, I feel like James Harden kind of slow plays it a little bit in the first half and then dials it up a notch or two by the time the third quarter rolls around. And one of the other real big highlights, and I don't know if you want to call it heartwarming, but exciting things to see, is Jordon Miller off the bench. We'll talk about his game after the break. He just continues to improve game after game after game and makes it look so easy. It's the Locked On Clippers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. You can also listen wherever you find your podcasts on the Locked On Clippers podcast feed. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Clippers postcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. I've done BetterHelp both online and in person. Well, no, BetterHelp is only online. I've done therapy online and in person, and the online version is every bit as good as the in-person version. I would say to a certain extent, it's a little bit better because it's more convenient. It really is. You just get a little text message on your phone and you're like, oh, got to go up to the office in 15 minutes and have a session. And it's very, very helpful. You just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com /LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp. HELP.com. It's the Locked On Clippers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. 127-105. The final tonight is really up and down the lineup. Everybody played well. Maybe you could say Zubac's had a touch of an off night. Yeah, Chris Dunn only had 7 points. 3 of 6, though, is fine. And 4 of 8 for Zubac is, again, fine. But we just expect more, right? He had a nice dribble, drive, dunk. No hesitation. Got a beautiful pass from James Harden, who was at midcourt and hit him like right at the elbow. And he just turned around and flashed to the rim. Boom, threw it down. And that's what I like to see. That aggression I like to see from Zubac, just move to the rim very aggressively. It was at the 7:17 mark of the first. I wrote it down. So he started off really well and then kind of slowed in the second half. So finished 4 of 8, missed both of his free throws, but had 10 rebounds. So took care of business in that category. 8 points with 10 boards. Derek Jones Jr. again, 6 of 10, 1-3 for 15 points, but 3 big slam dunks on alley-oops or inbound passes. Harden 6 of 15, 3 threes, 23 points. Norm Powell 11 of 15, 5 of 7, perfect at the line, 3 of 3 for 30 points. Chris Dunn had 7. Batum played 20 minutes, no points. Kai Jones got in there late, also scoreless. Mo Bamba just had that 1-3, but played defense, had a couple of steals, which was nice. For 3 points. Bones Highland got in late, had 3. Terrence Mann left the game early with an injury to his hand. I'll have to see how that turns out. Had 5 points. But Amir Coffey, whoa, that guy continues to come off the bench and be red hot. 23 minutes, 7 of 10, 5 threes for 19 points. And one of his threes was really, really nice in the fourth quarter. Got a pass down by his ankles. And I always find this amazing, or at least exciting, because getting that pass down so low as opposed to at your waist or at your chest and then immediately raising up and banging down a 3 is harder than it looks, because that's not what your rhythm is telling you is where you want to be. You don't want to be getting the ball off of the ground and then firing away. But Amir Coffey has done it multiple times. I feel like he's comfortable doing that, and I'm always impressed when that happens. So did that at least once tonight. 5 threes, going 5 of 7 with 3 assists, only 1 turnover for 19 points. And Jordon Miller, 24 minutes, getting in there early again, 6 of 9, perfect from beyond the arc, 1 for 1 for 13 points with 3 assists and 4 rebounds. I mean, he is just adding value night after night. The more time he gets, I mean, he earns the time. The more time he gets out there, the more time we see him out there. And it's always good. Again, the first time I saw him on the floor, I was like, why haven't we seen this guy more? Why are we only seeing him late in blowouts? The quote unquote offensively termed garbage time, which, ticks people off sometimes. I don't know why. Brian Siemens is offended by that term. Personally, pretty appropriate description if you asked me. But at the end of games when it's a blowout and the white flag has been waved was generally the only time we saw Jordon Miller early in the season. But lately he's been getting in there a whole lot earlier, and he's always looked fluid and athletic and just has all the tools, including the ability to make bounce passes and give and goes. And he's not just a guy that plays above the rim. He's not just a shooter. He has all of the tools. He also plays defense, getting to the rim. Everything has been working for him. And he is just, a player on the come as far as I'm concerned. And I think is going to continue to improve, and the Clippers are lucky to have him. And it was a brilliant draft pick for them last year. And I think he's going to continue to contribute. I mean, when you see him making passes like that, I don't remember. I wrote it down. They were moving the ball well all night. Another one of my notes I wrote that down 2 or 3 times. They moving the ball well in the first half. They were moving the ball well into the third quarter. So just nice passing. And there was one series where. When Miller hit his 3, that's what it was. He was in the corner, hit that 3. It came on a bounce pass from Harden, who hit Batum, and then the bounce pass from Batum to Miller, and then the 3. That was almost as if they were showing off right there, because it was basically unnecessary, but it seemed so smooth and nice, fluid, confident, worked well. It was just seamless, and that kind of fluidity is really nice to see from this team in a comfortable cruise of a win that was basically over with about 6 minutes to go in the game, 127-105. But yeah, Jordon Miller continues to impress, and every time he gets on the floor, I think that's a good thing for the Clippers. They are now 14-9, 9-4 at home. Right back to work tomorrow. A little bit tougher opponent tomorrow as they face the Minnesota Timberwolves, who they lost to last week in a very tight game that more than likely they should have won and definitely could have won. Whether or not it was a blown win, I don't know. There was a few mistakes down the stretch. They got a little ragged. Let's hope they can clean that up and continue this momentum that they've created, especially at Intuit Dome with the 9 consecutive wins. Appreciate you guys watching and listening. Appreciate the few comments. BC and Daniel, thanks for checking in. I am Pete Fox. We'll talk to you tomorrow right after Clippers and Timberwolves. Again, underway at 7:30 at Intuit Dome. Have a good night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.